Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Hess and this is my project for CUAI 5215. This is my Textual Lineage project. And the title of this downloaded slide presentation was Book Lovers, and I thought that was fitting because I am a book lover. So let's get right to it. So this is kind of the order I'm going to go in. I'm going to talk about my personal textual lineage, then my professional, then my self-selected text, and then my impact of text. So on with my personal. So when I first think about like my first love for books, in kindergarten I distinctly remember getting hooked on Dr. Seuss like many other children. And I specifically still have my copy of the Footbook by Dr. Seuss. And I wrote my name in the front, and I spelled my name wrong. I mean, I was in kindergarten, but it's just funny. But anyways, Dr. Seuss will always hold a special place in my heart. So I love Dr. Seuss. And then later in elementary school, I got super into Nancy Drew. I had a big set of books that looked very similar to this. All the nice yellow hardback books. Yeah, I read, there's like, I don't even know how many Nancy Drew books, maybe like 50-ish, but I want to say that I read them all, if not then all that my library had and all that my mom could find to buy me, I know for sure. Because after I finished them all, I started trying to read the Hardy Boys and I didn't like it, so anyways. This though was definitely my first book series that made me fall in love with chapter books though. So in middle school, I got really into the Nicholas Sparks books. I've read all of these and probably more. Why my mom let me read these in middle school, I have no idea, but she did. And I read them all, and I'm like super embarrassed to say that now because I don't know if I could read them now, but anyways. Also in middle school, I read the first Harry Potter book, and I loved it, and I watched the movie right after, and I just thought it was so cool, but I was just so intimidated by the size of the other books that I just kind of put it down and never like continued with the rest of the series. Then in high school, I kind of got into authors. Like if I read one book and I liked the author, then I would read a bunch of books by that author. So I got really into John Green, and I read all of these John Green books, and he's a great author, and I love his well, now I can't remember what it's called, but Crash Course. I love his YouTube Crash Course videos. He's great. And then I also got into this author, Rainbow Rowell, I think is how you say it. I read a couple books by this author, and then I got into some other books, but these are really great books as well. And then these were some books that are just kind of by random authors that I jumped around and read, but all these are fabulous books. The Supernatural Enhancements is what that's called. All the Bright Places, The Spectacular Now, which is also a movie and a really good movie, and it's kind of a funny story. These are all great books, and I have these all together on a slide because these are all books that I read in high school and I loved so much that I actually bought hard copies of them, whereas most of the books I read I checked out from the library, but I still have the hard copies of all these books because I just love them so much. And then I would honestly say that these may be some of my favorite books of all time, but it's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I've read the first 3 books, but the author has come out with 2 more. There's now 5 in the series, and I need to get around to reading the last 2 because I'm sure they're fabulous, but I mean, these books are really cool, and there's real pictures integrated in them, and anyways, it's kind of a long story, but they're very interesting, and the author put a lot of work into these books, and they're very creative, so I highly recommend them. And then in high school, I also, thanks to my English teacher, of course, I also kind of got into poetry. Maya Angelou, I got really into her poetry. I have actually a book right here, bought it at a thrift store, and it's all you can see how old it is. It was used whenever I got it, and then I've tattered it even more myself, and the pages are yellow, and It smells like a thrift store. It's just so great. But anyways, these aren't books that I would like sit down and read, but like when I'm just like relaxing or taking a bath or whatever, it's something that I'll just kind of randomly flip through and read since it's just poetry, So that's a good one. And also, let's see if you can see this. One of my favorite authors and also musicians, Janae Aiko. She is like an R&B type artist, but she is one of my favorite music artists. And she also, a couple years ago, came out with a book of poetry, and it's really great too. And it's really cool because it has like her handwritten like poetry from a journal, and she actually like put that in the book too, so it's really cool. Okay, and now since I've gotten into college, I was very, very, very heavily into reading all throughout high school, and I kind of put it down whenever I got in college just because I got a job and I kind of started working a lot, and just classes, I don't know, my life just changed, so I kind of stopped reading as much, but recently, this past year, I picked back up Harry Potter again because I decided that it is something that I need to do. I need to read all of the Harry Potter books. I need to do that, So right now I'm on is it the fourth one? Yeah, the fourth one, The Goblet of Fire, which is why I have that pictured here. So I'm like, maybe a quarter of the way through The Goblet of Fire because it's the first like really hefty sized one. So yes, on my way with that one. And then also, I thought it'd be important to mention, last year whenever I was student teaching, my mentor let me pick a text to read aloud with my students, so I read Charlotte's Web with them, and I read the whole book aloud, and so that took several weeks for us to get through that book, because we just would read it, like 10-15 minutes every day, so definitely took a little while, but I did read that one again for like the third time last year. So, you can kind of see the way that my interests have changed. Like, I definitely started out with mystery in elementary school, and then of course in middle school I went to romance, and then kind of in high school I kind of got in between the like romance and mystery, because like John Green is like, yes, romance, but like there's also like mystery within the timeline that like keeps the book interesting, like it's not just about romance. And then Harry Potter is considered fantasy fiction, but I would also consider it kind of mystery as well, so that's kind of always been on my radar, is those type of books. Okay, now on to my professional textual lineage. So in high school I would like of course I didn't start reading professional books in high school per se, but I feel like it's important to mention that the Bible really was an important part of my professional textual lineage, and that may sound cliche, I'm sure people say that often, but I don't just want to say the Bible because that is cliche and vague and that doesn't mean much, but specifically Psalms 127:4, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are the children of the youth, which is basically a metaphor for, a warrior. When they have arrows in their back, whichever way they point them is whichever way they're going to go. And that's basically a metaphor for, of course leaders of children, but specifically for me, teachers. I have the opportunity to have an impact on them for a year, and whichever way I point them is whichever way they're going to go, at least for their next step of their life. So I think that's really important. Oh, and I also wanted to mention, of course, there's a lot of books of the Bible, so if I just say the Bible, that's kind of vague too. So specifically Psalms is what I was focusing on here, and it's funny because I'm sure a lot of people's Bibles looks like this sometimes, and I get it, I definitely do, but I just wanted to mention that that was something that really had an impact on me and definitely influenced me to go into teaching. So in undergrad, again, didn't read as much whenever I got into college, but in undergrad, the lovely Dr. Moran had us do a project where we got to pick a book that we read. We got to pick the book that we read and do a project on it, and I chose, it's called The Daily Five. So very quick overview of this book. The system has 5 components: read to self, read to someone, listening to reading, working on writing, and word work. So very like foundational book for elementary education, but it's a really great book and I liked it a lot. And then now that I'm in graduate school, Dr. Ward, got this book around here somewhere, Dr. Ward had us read Beyond Traditional Phonics. This is another really great book. Like, I don't know, there's just not many books, like professional books that you read where you finish the book and you're like, wow, that was really great and that was a lot of great knowledge that I needed to know. But this was definitely one of them, and I love this book. Very like ELA related, but definitely worth a read, especially for elementary teachers. And then of course, Dr. Meyer recently had us read Cultivating Genius, and I know that's recent, it may seem a little cliche to say, but this book was so great, and it was so good, in fact, that I ordered my own copy as soon as I finished reading it, because I was like, this is just something that I need to have on my shelf. But of course, most of you watching this probably know this book, and it's just a great book to have in my lineage. So, that being said, I know that wasn't 5 books, but like I said, I just haven't done much professional reading since I've been in college, and I didn't want to like fake any books on here that I haven't read or anything. So I just wanted to use this last like book slide to just show all of the books that I've recently purchased, thanks to Dr. Meyer's wonderful Amazon list. But these are all the books I've purchased, and these are ones that I hope to start reading after this course and definitely this summer. And I hope to add at least a few of these to my textual lineage. Okay, now onto my self-selected text. I have this book right here. Let me grab it. Okay, so I have... Sorry, let me get back focus. Okay, there we go. So I have 2 copies of this book. This copy is Dr. Meyer's, and she let me borrow it, and I'm glad that she did, because I ordered this one, and this one was just like used and cheap, and like they look the same size, but Dr. Meyer's copy actually has like several forewords and like what are they called, epilogues or something? It's not the right word, but has basically extra stuff in here that this copy doesn't have. Like, this copy literally just has all of the work by the author, and that's it. And some of the, well, I don't want to say some of the best content, but a lot of really great content is in the forewords, and I really enjoyed reading the extra content that was in here. So I didn't quite finish the book. I've got just a little bit left, if you can kind of see my bookmark. But my honest opinion, it was kind of depressing, and like, it was great, and I'm glad that I read it, and it had a lot of information that I needed to know, but I mean, I don't know, I think I went into it with more of the mindset of, I know schools are dumbing us down, I want to know the facts behind this, and then like what I can do to prevent this from happening. But it seemed like it focused more on how schools are dumbing us down, and not so much of the what we can do to fix it. And maybe that's in the end of the book, and I just haven't gotten there yet. And I'm going to finish reading it so I can see. But from my impression, that's kind of what it was, and it was a little depressing. But that's okay, because it's information that I definitely needed to know. So yeah, but overall it was a good book, very well written. Like I said, the forewords in the book were really great, and definitely added to enhance the book, I guess, per se. So yeah, it was a good book, and I'm glad that I read it. Okay, so for the impact of this text, I guess, impacting my lineage, I don't know if I will add this text to my lineage or not. And I know that's kind of sad to say, but I don't know. It just like, this is, for like my textual lineage, this isn't a book that has been inspiring to me. It's more so just a book with knowledge that I needed to know as a teacher. And I don't know if that would necessarily fit into my lineage or not. Maybe under the right circumstance, I would recommend this book to someone if it was information I felt like they needed to know, but otherwise I don't think I would just go around recommending this book to teachers, just because I understand how it is to be a teacher, and you have a lot going on, and just sometimes the burdens of everyday life in the school system can kind of weigh you down, and I feel like sometimes the last thing you would want to read is understanding how the governmental system is basically dumbing us down. It's just kind of depressing. But it's information that we need to know. I don't know. Mixed feelings. Anyways, so yeah. But I have my own copy now, and I will definitely be keeping it on my bookshelf. And maybe later down the road I'll come back to it and have a different mindset on it. But that's how I feel for now. And as for my project, I'm not sure that this will impact my research project that we have coming up. I think I may go a different direction for my research project. I don't think that this will necessarily have an impact on the topic that I choose for my research project. But it was a good read. Okay, that's all I have. This was such a fun project, and I really enjoyed talking about my textual lineage, and I had to dig up I have books stashed away everywhere, but I had to dig up all the books that I read in high school and remember them, and elementary school, and had to remember how I fell in love with reading in the first place and all of that fun stuff. So it was really fun to sit down and map kind of my textual lineage as a person and as a professional. So really fun project. I really enjoyed doing this. So that's all I have. Thanks so much. Bye.